Hello, just Gem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. I'm approaching this first impression video from a slightly different angle today. The keen-eyed among you, I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder here just to see, but the super keen-eyed among you might notice that my eyes are ever so slightly different. And that's because on one eye I have used the new Undergrowth palette from Cosmic Brushes. And on the other eye, I have used, actually, can you guess what I've used? First of all, guess what the other palette is. See if you can guess what it is. And then I'm going to ask you, also, I'm going to zoom you in so you can look at them both close up. And then I'm going to ask you to guess which eye is which. Here are the two eyes. So, hit pause and let me know, first of all, what you think the mystery palette is, and second of all, which eye you think that mystery palette is on. Which palette, which eye? Drum roll please. The other palette I've used is Earthy from Beauty Bay, the 42 pan palette. Originally, when I saw Undergrowth, I was like, that looks a bit familiar. It actually reminded me of numerous palettes, but maybe we'll get into that at the end when I'm summing up. Did you guess? Have you guessed which eye? Do you have a favourite eye? It's very subtle, the difference, I would say, because I had a little swatch party earlier when I compared the shades, so I'd say that the difference is subtle. To put you out of your misery, on this eye, if you guessed Earthy, you were correct. So by process of elimination, because I've only got two eyes, on the other eye we've got Undergrowth. But I'm going to show you now how I created the looks. I'm going to speed through Beauty Bay, but I will tell you what shades I've used and then I'll go through a little bit more in depth for Undergrowth. So I've sped through application on this side and I'm now going to do the other eye. I'm not gonna lie, I had a momentary lapse in concentration, so this isn't necessarily the look I had in mind, but I think it should work. And now we're gonna see if the swatches I did earlier did indeed show me the dupes, because now we're gonna go in with Undergrowth. I've put tape on today because I didn't want to give away which eye was because I always, this eye is just better, so I thought let me put tape on so they're going to end up looking even, hopefully. Let's get stuck in. So I'm just, in fact before we get stuck in, where's my ISO clean? There it is. So I'm going to use exactly the same brushes that I used before. Okay, the brushes are clean. I'm going to start with, well, let's hope I get the order of this right, but we're going to go in with Herbarium, which I believe Herbarium should be a pretty good dupe for Sketch from Earthy. So far so good. Sigma switching this to get off Herbarium, and then we're going to go in with Algae, which is the shade right next to it in the palette. Kind of wish I'd done a cut crease now. But like, I don't know. I don't normally do cut creases, but I think for the purposes of sort of demonstrating shadows in this way, I might have to start doing cut creases. I think they're a really good way to show off shades and being able to use multiple. Yeah, see, that's, I'd say that was looking about the same. Okay. Next, what are we going in with next? So it was the dark shade, which in Earthy is called Eucalyptus, and in Undergrowth it's called Nettle. Applying it right to the edge and then blending it into Algae, and I'm sort of using it to deepen the V. And then on the lid, see, this is where I had my momentary lapse in concentration, because I had meant to do 2 shades on the lid. But what I've done instead is one of the shades I was going to put on my lid, I've just put it on the bottom instead. So I'll still use that shade, and I think it will still get the desired effect. What is it I'm going in with? So I keep looking down because I've written all the shades that match on a trusty little piece of paper here. So I think it's going to be Cordycops. No, it's not Cordycops. Hang on a minute, what have I done here? No, it's Undergrowth. It's not Cordycops. It's Undergrowth. So that's the shade that the palette is named after. Okay, that's very different. I think you can kind of see why I thought they might be dupes. But on the lid, they look totally different. Totally. Okay, well, yeah. It's all part of the process. All part of the process. The shade that I put in my inner corner was the shade Palm from Earthy. And in Wilderness, the shade I'm going to be using is Fungi. Yeah, I'd say those are pretty close. That's a good match. It's a subtle inner corner, more subtle than I tend to go for, but that's pretty. So I'd wanted to put Legend from Earthy on my lid too, but I forgot. So I've put it on my under eye instead. So the corresponding shade is Cordyceps. I think that's Cordyceps. All I did after that was I went back into Eucalyptus, which is in Earthy, and that's Nettle in Undergrowth. But this I'll tidy once I take the tape off. I am going to take off the tape, put my concealer on and whatnot, tidy up the edges, which I'm going to inevitably have from putting this tape on my face, and basically clean all this up, come back finished, zoom you in so you can see both eyes and compare. I am back and I have zoomed you in so you can have a very close look at both eyes. I have, as you can see, I've just sort of tidied it up a little bit. I put some mascara on, and obviously I didn't bring it with me, but it's the Rimmel Thrill Seeker one, and the more I use it, the more I like it. And I think that happens sometimes with mascaras. As they're sort of starting to dry out a little bit, that's when they're good. So that's what I've got on my lashes, and I've just used a green random line, I don't even know the brand, but I'll find out the brand and maybe I'll put it in the description box. But I've put that in my waterline just because I thought it would go quite nicely with this look. And here are the eyes. Let me see if I can, because it looks quite washed out. It looks more vibrant than that in real life. That captures the colours better. So that's one eye. And that's the other. You'll have to forgive me because my viewfinder isn't working, so I can't see if I'm guessing I'm in shot because my camera is in relatively the correct position. And I think I zoomed myself out. I'm pretty sure I zoomed myself out. I hope that's fully in shot, I hope so. But yeah, so that's Undergrowth. Right there. Here is Earthy. Right, this is a behemoth. I'm just going to hold it in front of my face and hope that that is in a good position for you to be able to see the entire palette. What are my conclusions from this exercise, and do I have a favourite eye? I'm looking at myself and only I think because in the end it turned out that Undergrowth and Lime aren't exactly a dupe, and I think I prefer that lime shade. I think I prefer the earthy eye, you know. And I've got to say, I also think I prefer the mattes in earthy. And the reason I say that is because some of the mattes in Cosmic brushes in Undergrowth, they're a bit dry in this palette, and I don't remember them being that dry. And when I was swatching them to do the comparisons, the matte shades in earthy, they were just smoother and more buttery. Like, I've written notes here as I was swatching. The shade Nettle in Undergrowth, I found that to be particularly dry, and then Swamp, which is one of the shimmers, is quite chunky. I think it'll be fine on the eye, but it did, when I swatched it, it was a really chunky shade. And then have I written on any other notes? I see, this is where it's going to be frustrating that I can't see myself, because one of the huge things, because this shade is unreal. If you've seen my Instagram and you saw the story that I posted at the time, there is a shade in Undergrowth and it is called Fireflies. So let's hold this up and it's going to be there. And again, I don't know if it's focusing, I don't know. But this shade right here above the brown is called Fireflies, and it is incredible. It's such a pretty shade and it's smooth. So again, it's probably not going to focus, but that is Fireflies. It's just beautiful. I hope that's focusing and you can see it and this is doing it justice. And I don't know if you can hear the rain. There was a proper thunderstorm. There was a bolt of, well, there was some lightning. What's the one that makes the sound? The thunder. There was a bolt of thunder. Do you say bolt of thunder? Thunderbolt. Yes. Flash of lightning, bolt of thunder. But anyway, I digress. Let me finish this before I get carried away. I would say, I mean, if you've got earthy, I mean, I don't think you would need to get Undergrowth. I don't think you do. And to be honest, I think the mattes in earthy are superior. And apart from that Firefly shade, I mean, is it worth spending 28 quid just for the shade Fireflies? I mean, I've seen special shades go for almost that amount on their own, to be fair. Maybe if it ever was to go on sale, I'd say pick up Undergrowth just for Fireflies. Like, I'm looking at it again now and woo! It really is a beautiful shade. When I first got Undergrowth and I opened it up, it was a lot grungier than I was expecting. It's got shade names like Swamp and Murky and Sludge, and I think that's very, very appropriate for the tones in this palette. It is a grungy, murky, swampy colour story. If you're looking for a more vibrant green palette, then like that, you're not going to find that in Undergrowth. Where you will find a more vibrant green colour story is in Nomad Atlantic Way. This is Nomad Wild Atlantic Way even. God, I hope this is in the right position. It's directly in front of my face, so I'm hoping that that means that you can see it. That is a much more vibrant green colour story, and even the golds are more vibrant. The gold still somehow managed to be quite grungy in Undergrowth. If you've got Wild Atlantic Way from Nomad and you were thinking to yourself, oh, I don't think I'll get Undergrowth because it's a bit too similar, it actually isn't. This is vibrant green colour story versus swampy green colour story. I also pulled out, like I was going way back here, but I have Made by Mitchell Feet on the Ground, and I wondered if that might have some similarities. And again, it's much more vibrant. It doesn't have that same vibe, but I thought, you know, Feet on the Ground, Undergrowth, could they be similar? And I did wonder if the shade Limeade might be a bit similar to Vegetation. And should we swatch it now and see? That's Vegetation. Yeah, see, that's much brighter. What else? Maybe Fool's Gold from here, but I think that's going to be too gold to be similar. Not a fan of the formula in this. I really liked it at the time, but I guess formulas are always advancing. But I used this the other day and I was like, oh no, it's not as nice as I remember. This is way more vibrant. Again, if you've got that from way back in the day, you won't be getting any dupes, not really. So considering just how similar Earthy and Undergrowth are, am I disappointed that I've picked up Undergrowth? And I would say no, simply because I really like Cosmic brushes, to be honest. I do enjoy their formula, though as I said, I'm not too sure. The mattes are just a bit drier in here than I remember them being in previous palettes, but the shimmers are shimmering, and the special shades in here, especially Fireflies, like I can't get over Fireflies and how beautiful that shade is. So I don't regret picking it up. I think Cosmic brushes put out incredible palettes at an incredible price point with incredible quality. And if they can keep their palettes at around that price point, I imagine I will probably always say that they're great value for money and they're worth getting. I took the plunge suspecting it would be very, very similar to Earthy. That was top of my list of palettes I thought it might look like. And I was right, but I'm still not disappointed, or I still don't think I've made a mistake in picking up Undergrowth. In conclusion, if you've got Earthy and you're on a no-buy, on a low-buy, you're trying to minimise your purchases and you don't want any dupes at all, then no, I don't think you need to pick up Undergrowth. If you're an avid collector like me, I'd say it's worth having. I really, really would. I'm going to stop there because I'm contending with this. I think it's died down, but at one point it was really, really loud, and I fear you won't be able to hear me. That's how loud it was. And there's some lightning and some people, I can hear them. My window's open over there and they were just cheering at that flash of lightning there. But I'm going to leave it there because I've taken your time for long enough. I'm also going to insert some swatches of the shades that I think are the closest between Undergrowth and Earthy, and then just general swatches of Undergrowth itself. So they're going to be at the end. I think that's going to be the best place to put those. I hope that you have found this video useful, and I also hope to see you again in the not too distant future. If you've made it this far and you have enjoyed this video and you have found it useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. See you again soon. Take care. Bye. So I'm back. I just re-watched the footage just to make sure that you could see me and you could see the palettes as I was holding them up, and you can, yay me! Still can't see myself in the viewfinder. But one thing I also wanted to add is, because I know you can't get Earthy anymore, I believe that that's been discontinued. So if you had your heart set on earthy, what I would say is you can replicate earthy with these two. It's an expensive way to replicate earthy, considering that the RRP of earthy is £25. But if you saw earthy and you thought to yourself, I love that palette, I'm desperate for it, I can't believe I missed out, if you were to get these two, you would have earthy, and you'd also have fireflies too. Just saying. Can you tell I love the shade Fireflies? Have I told you that enough already? I do. Earthy covers the vibrant and the sludgy, swampy vibe. Okay, and I'm going again.